You know, with all the new pistols dropping this year, figuring out what's actually worth strapping to your waist every day ain't as easy as it used to be. What's up, everyone? This is your boy Sully from Line45, and today I'm breaking down the top 10 new carry pistols of 2025 that actually perform when it matters. Not just at the range, but when your life's on the line. Before anything else, let me do this quick plug. Hit the like and subscribe buttons, all the buttons that you can see below. Don't forget to leave a comment too. I know it feels like a hassle, but those things help my channel a lot. Now let's get back to the good stuff. HK CC9. You'd figure that by now every brand would have nailed the micro-compact formula. But then HK came out swinging with the CC9, and it honestly caught me off guard. I've run a lot of their pistols from the VP9 to the P30 series, and I've always respected HK's no-nonsense, overbuilt approach. So when they finally dipped into the micro EDC pool with the CC9, I was skeptical. But after a couple of 100 rounds and sometimes carrying it appendix style through daily errands range sessions and even a night hike, I'll say it straight, this thing punches way above its weight class. The first thing that stood out wasn't just the size, though at 6.03 inches in overall length, 4.6 to 4.92 inches in height. Depending on mag and less than an inch wide, it's one of the most concealable HKs I've ever run. It was the shootability. Most micros snap hard, especially with hot 9mm loads. Not the CC9. HK clearly worked magic in the way they tuned the slide and recoil system. It doesn't flip or sting. I ran a mix of 115 grain and 124 grain NATO rounds and even pushed it with some Speer Gold Dot Plus P. Muzzle rise was minimal, and I stayed on target with fast double taps even under pressure. Now the trigger's a whole other story. It's got a distinct wall, a clean 5-pound break, and a reset that's short and sharp. It ain't a competition trigger, but for carry. It's perfect, predictable, and repeatable. I love the tritium front sight up front, which glows clean in low light, and the blacked-out serrated rear that doesn't distract when you're lining up quick shots. Add to that 2 interchangeable back straps, and I was able to dial in the grip just right for my hand, which makes a massive difference on a gun this small. Magazine capacity hits that sweet 10 or 12 rounds, and the fitment is classic HK tight, no rattle, no wiggle. And yeah, it's not cheap. Its MSRP's floating around 740 horse. But you're not buying cheap plastic. You're buying a pistol that went through NATO-level torture testing, built like a duty gun, but sized for real-world carry. It ran flawlessly through every mag I put through it, and trust me, I wasn't babying it. If you're the kind of carrier who demands full-size confidence in a micro package, this gun checks all the boxes. Now let's move into something a bit bigger, but just as slick. SIG P365 XMacro Tocops. The P365 XMacro Tocops doesn't just flirt with the idea of high-capacity concealment, it straight up nails it. It has the same slim DNA as the original P365, but with a stretch grip module that holds 17-round steel mags without bulking up like a duty-sized gun. What's wild is how it carries, 1.4 inches wide, 6.6 inches long. But it disappears under a flannel or a t-shirt, especially with a good Kydex rig. I've been rotating this with a Glock 19, and honestly it rides lighter and flatter while giving me more ammo out the gate. The XMacro frame has a lot going for it, solid undercut full-length dust cover, and that M19 rail that doesn't limit you to microlights. I slapped on a TLR-7A and still had no issue clearing the draw from concealment. The grip texture isn't overly aggressive, but it locks in well under stress. There's just enough meat behind the mag well flare to guide reloads without printing, which shows SIG didn't just stretch the frame, they refined it. Trigger-wise, the flat face gives you a straight pull and predictable break. Resets tight and fast. It's not mushy, not creepy, just consistent. It makes fast pairs smooth, especially with that balanced 3.7-inch carbon steel barrel and stainless nitron-coated slide, keeping the gun flat during recoil. I ran Speer Gold Dot, Year 24 NATO, and even some range reloads. zero failures, zero weirdness. Everything cycled clean. That's the kind of reliability you expect when a company builds the whole system in-house. They also included 4 mags out of the box, 4 17-rounders. That alone tells you SIG's not treating this as a budget carry piece. You're getting something ready to run, optics ready right out the gate with a Shield RMSE cut. Throw on a Holosun EPS carry, and the co-witness with the X-Ray 3-day night sights gives you quick acquisition, whether you're running dots or irons. It's priced around $718, and yeah, it's not the cheapest. But nothing about this pistol feels like corners were cut. It's a full-size fighter in a compact's clothing. Next up, we're taking a look at Springfield's most refined EDC yet. Springfield 1911 DS Prodigy Compact. Springfield's been doing some serious heavy lifting in the 1911 space for years, but the moment I got my hands on the 1911 DS Prodigy Compact, I knew this wasn't just another metal frame showpiece. It's a full-on carry pistol built around that classic 1911 single-action trigger, but re-engineered into a double-stack format that gives you 15 + 1 rounds of 9mm and a footprint barely bigger than your standard compact striker-fired pistol. That's what makes it a standout. It doesn't feel like a shrunken duty gun. It feels like a dedicated EDC that's got some real muscle under the hood. The slide is forged carbon steel finished in a deep black Cerakote that's held up well after weeks of holster draw reps and range time. The barrel's where things get serious. It's 3.5 inches of forged stainless bull profile DLC coated. For durability and match-grade accuracy, even with defensive ammo like Federal HST or Spear Gold Dot Plus P, it runs clean and soft. There's no sharp snap, no exaggerated muzzle whip, just flat tight recoil impulse and fast recovery. The captured recoil system does a great job soaking up that energy and smoothly putting the slide back on target. What really surprised me was the balance. With that billet 7075 T6 aluminum frame, you'd expect a little front heaviness or top heaviness, but it's centered perfectly. The polymer grip module wraps around the frame with an aggressive but not obnoxious texture. It doesn't chew up your skin, but it locks in with gloves or bare hands. The shortened beaver tail and recontoured hammer were obviously designed with IWB carry in mind, because it draws clean rides close and doesn't poke or dig like older steel frame compacts tend to do. The trigger is vintage Springfield, flat-faced, with short travel and a clean break of around 4.5 pounds, with a reset you can feel without having to guess. You're not going to outrun this trigger. It's tuned for speed and repeatability. Optics ready is the cherry on top. The agency optics system is solid. It's cut clean, accepts a bunch of red dots, and still gives you that tritium front sight and black serrated rear as a solid backup. At $1.5549, it's not a budget piece, but this ain't built for the budget crowd. It's built for shooters who want 2011 level performance in a gun they can actually conceal every day without giving up capacity or control. But of course, you don't need to spend big, just so you can get a reliable EDC at your holster. Check out this next one. Taurus GX2. Taurus has come a long way in the last few years, and the GX2 proves they're not just playing catch-up anymore. They're setting their own standard for budget EDC pistols. I didn't go into this gun expecting much. Sub-$300 price tag striker-fired compact. 9mm, honestly, I figured it'd be fine for glove box duty or maybe as a backup. But after running close to 600 rounds through it, FMJ's hollow points, steel case, you name it, I walked away pretty damn impressed. This pistol doesn't just work. It runs like something that costs twice as much. It's a striker-fired single-action-only setup with a crisp trigger that surprised me on the first mag. The break is clean, right around 5.5 pounds, and the reset is short enough to stay on the gas for fast follow-ups. At 6.19 inches long and 4.89 inches tall, it's firmly in the compact class. It's light too, about 1904 ounces unloaded, but it doesn't feel flimsy or cheap. The polymer frame has just enough texturing to stay grippy under sweat, and the slight undercut in the trigger guard lets me choke up high for better control. Recoil management. It's mild. Even with hotter loads like Spear Gold Dot and Mulsby, it stayed flat and controllable. The 3.38-inch barrel runs a 1 in 10 right-hand twist with 6 grooves, and it handled everything from 115 grain FMJ to 147 grain JHP without issue. Accuracy was better than I expected. At 10 yards, I was grouping under 2.5 inches with range ammo offhand and defensive loads shot even tighter. The slide is simple and clean. Matte black finish, fixed front white dot, and a drift adjustable rear. Nothing fancy, but more than capable for defensive use. There's also a small accessory rail up front. I mounted a Streamlight TLR6 and it fit like a glove. You get 2 13-round magazines in the box, and they've been 100% reliable. No hang-ups on feeding or locking back. For under $300, that's a big deal. You're also getting Taurus's limited lifetime warranty, which believe me matters when you're trusting your life to a budget gun. The GX2 isn't flashy, but it's smart, solid, and surprisingly refined. It's one of those guns you forget you're carrying until you're on the line, and it starts outperforming expectations. Now, if you want something cut even slimmer for deep concealment, but still optics ready, Beretta's APX A1 carry is up next, and it's a whole different beast. Beretta APX A1 Compact. There's something different about the Beretta APX A1 Compact, and you can feel it the moment you get behind the trigger. Beretta didn't just shrink their full-size APX and slap Compact on the slide. They reworked the entire system to build a concealed carry pistol that's surprisingly refined, extremely shootable, and honestly, one of the best out-of-the-box striker-fired guns I've handled this year. I ran mine through a 2-day class drawing from concealment, working reloads, and putting well over 700 rounds through it, and the thing didn't hiccup once. The size sits right in that Goldilocks zone for EDC, 6.9 inches long, 5.2 inches high, and 1.3 inches wide at its widest point. But what stands out is the grip width at just 1.06 inches, which gives it that slim, almost 1911-like profile in the hand. The polymer frame is molded perfectly for high undercuts and solid control. There's texturing right where you need it, aggressive enough to keep you locked in, but not so rough it eats your skin if you're carrying an appendix. It runs a 3.7-inch barrel with a tilting barrel lockup system, and the recoil impulse is stupidly manageable. Even with hotter 124 grain plus P rounds, it stayed flat and predictable. The slide cycles smoothly, and Beretta did the smart thing by giving it forward and rear cocking serrations that actually grab. The slide is optics ready with an RMSC footprint, and even if you're not running a dot, the red fiber optic front and serrated black rear sights are fast and clear. Now that trigger. Most striker guns in this price range have a gritty pull or a sloppy wall. This one doesn't. The APX A1 has a flat-face trigger with a consistent break of around 5.5 pounds, and the reset is short audible and very shootable. It's genuinely one of the best factory triggers I've felt in a striker-fired compact under $500. Speaking of price, this thing clocks in right around $415. That's nuts for a carry gun that's this polished. It ships with a 15-round steel magazine, but extended mags and spacers are easy to find. Between the reliability, capacity, and clean performance, this gun's a sleeper. It might not have the hype, but it absolutely has the chops. Canik MC9 Prime. Canik has been known for delivering a lot of guns for not a lot of money, but the MC9 Prime feels like they just flipped the table on the micro-compact game entirely. I got my hands on it earlier this year, and I've been running it hard ever since. Carrying it daily, putting it through weekend drills, and cycling everything from cheap range ammo to plus P defensive loads. This isn't just a dressed-up MC9. It's a refined, performance-tuned carry pistol that punches way above its weight class. The first thing I noticed was the grip. It's got full-surface stippling that actually feels custom. It wraps around the entire module, and the front and rear texture grips tight without shredding your skin. The double undercut under the trigger guard lets me drive my support hand in deeper, and the new full grip extended backstrap gives the kind of purchase I usually only get from full-size guns. At 5.43 inches tall and 1.16 inches wide, it's still compact enough to carry AIWB without printing, but it shoots like a mid-sized pistol. Now the compensated barrel. That's where it gets spicy. Canik built an expansion chamber up front that vents gas straight out of the top of the slide. And it works. I ran 124 grain NATO ball spear Gold Dot Plus P and even Fiocchi defensive hollow points. The muzzle flip is almost non-existent. The 3.64-inch barrel has four-side fluting and is laser engraved with that Prime branding, which looks slick, but it also sheds weight and disperses heat faster when you're dumping mags. The trigger is Canik's flat face breaking clean at 90 degrees, with a short firm reset that makes fast follow-up shots almost effortless. I measured it around 4.5 to 5 pounds, but it feels lighter because of the smooth take-up. The slide itself is cut for optics, has deep serrations front and rear, and a flared front end that makes racking easy even under pressure. Add to that the night vision tritium sights, super bright even in near dark, and you've got visibility locked down. It ships with two 17-round mags, has a low-profile magwell, and carries right around $550. For what you get, this is easily one of the most complete EDC pistols I've run in 2025. If you're after next-level performance, look at what just the CZ dropped this year. CZ Shadow 2 Carry. You know, CZ doesn't play around when it comes to steel frame tack drivers, but when they dropped the CZ Shadow 2 Carry, I had to see if they really figured out how to bring that match-grade magic to a real-world everyday carry setup. I've shot plenty of Shadow 2s on the line, smooth as butter, dead-flat recoil, but they were just too big and heavy to seriously consider for EDC. So when this carry version hit my bench, I gave it a few weeks of hard use. Range sessions, dry fire reps, appendix carry, because I needed to know if this thing was just trimmed down or truly rebuilt for the streets. First off, it's still got that CZ heritage baked in. 7075 T6 aluminum alloy frame instead of steel, so it's lighter without feeling hollow. With an empty mag, it weighs in just under 2 pounds, which gives it that dense planted feel in hand. And that Duralumin grip is not some cosmetic panel. It's machined aluminum that locks in with aggressive texture perfect when your hands are sweaty or you're moving fast. I carried it IWB with a Tier 1 Axis slim rig, and surprisingly, the 7.5 inches length and 1.5 width didn't print as bad as I expected. The weight balances right over the belt line, so it rides smooth, not like a brick in your waistband. Now the trigger. This is where it separates from the pack. Double action Prime single action layout with a long but consistent 11-pound double action pull and a short crisp single action break at about 3.4 pounds with a snappy reset. It's the kind of trigger you don't get on striker guns. There's control feedback and that mechanical confidence you want when things go sideways. It also packs a full 15+1 capacity in 9mm, and while the fixed sights are basic, they're dead on and snag free. In real use, it runs flat, like really flat. The weight and trigger make follow-ups stupidly easy. And even though it's a bit bulkier than your micro compacts, I'll take that any day if it means I'm hitting faster and cleaner when it counts. For anyone who trains hard and carries with purpose, this gun feels like it was made by shooters for shooters.